There's two coming up on Wednesday. Let's start with this first one here. It's going to be North Carolina Courage versus Angel City FC. Lisa, let's make a pick. Who are you looking at in this one? We've got a couple of teams on the outside looking in, trying to make that push, trying to make that leap. You got a winner in this one?
First, I want to shout out Tyler Green in our chat. He says he lives for chaos. Yeah, ditto.
Right on.
Same. That's why we're here, right? Isn't that all why we are fans of this beautiful game? North Carolina, Angel City. For those that missed our weekend recap that we did yesterday, you can go check that out. But North Carolina, they smashed Racing Louisville this weekend, 5-1. Yeah. It was incredibly dominant. We know that North Carolina can win the games, can put up goals, but they've also been scored on a lot. I mean, the goal that came for Louisville was an incredibly bad defensive mistake on North Carolina's part. So they need to tighten up defensively. Is this the match that it happens against Angel City? I sure hope so, because for North Carolina, they need to start picking up points. They've scored an incredible amount of goals, though. When you look over their last several matches, 21 goals scored in their last 6 home games, and they've picked up points in those. So North Carolina has scored 3 or more goals in 6 straight home games. And in that 21 goals of those 6-game homes, that is a record in NWSL single season league history. So they're breaking records. They're doing things. Davinia is coming off a brace. Caroline is coming off a brace and 2 assists. Caroline is only the second player to do that this year. Mallory Pugh did it as well, and only 5th in the league to do that. So have a brace and 2 assists in a game. Second meeting between North Carolina and Angel City, though. The first time, Angel City won 2-1 at home. That was their home opener earlier in the season. Now this match at Wake Med, Angel City coming off of a 1-1 draw to Houston. I think that the lackluster for Angel City is that they can't stay consistent throughout the season and then throughout a 90 minutes, heck, throughout 45 minutes of a match. Their inconsistency has been North Carolina's Achilles heel throughout this regular season. Meanwhile, North Carolina, they can put up goals and they can score. And because of that, I hope this one is like a crazy midweek high-scoring game, but I still see North Carolina winning it at the end of it.
Yeah, maybe I'm very, very curious as to how this game is going to play out, because you literally have the number 7 and number 8 ranked team going head to head. And while there's some cushion between them in the standing, you're talking 26 points for LA and 22 points for North Carolina Courage. Things like this can still sort of have that feeling of a kind of a 6-point swing, right? Where you're sort of stealing points off of another team. And I don't know, I'm a little curious. I'm so curious about this game because I wonder if it's going to have those makings of a midweek match where kind of shakes out very narrow and like in a draw, right? Or if it's going to have the potential to sort of be that kind of wild, chaotic fixture. And I'm also looking ahead a little bit for both of these teams, right? How are they going to target this particular midweek match, knowing that they have another quick turnaround on the horizon for them with the full slate of weekend games that we will preview at a later time, in front of them. So I'm full of curiosity.
Which are very big games. I mean, you're alluding to this, but Angel City, North Carolina play midweek. Then Angel City plays against San Diego. North Carolina plays against OL Reign. So they've got big.
Those are no slouches, right? Those are big opponents, right? That they're looking at in front of them. So I'm wondering if maybe we get that sort of kind of high competitive, like we need to get these 3 points now kind of energy, and urgency from both of these teams, because they are those 7th and 8th ranked sort of teams, right? Looking ahead to the weekend. I know that, looking at something when you're looking at sort of the matches that these teams kind of are coming off of with that quick turnaround, maybe something like a home field advantage does come into play a little bit. You get to stay in your own bed and you get to sort of follow your own schedule still and just wake up and have your game day. So I am curious if the results of that big blowout result that North Carolina will have coupled with the fact that they're hosting again is going to let give them that extra added oomph in this game. Maybe it will be the little bit of the X factor. I don't know if we're going to see Ordonez have an impact that she's had before in other games. She's been navigating a little bit of a shoulder knock that she took a few weeks ago, and perhaps that's something that she's still carrying. We've seen her kind of have a little bit of a different role, more just sort of creating space and generating pockets of space for this team, and not necessarily getting the goals, but that's meant other things for Davinia and Caroline. So I like the way they're playing right now, and I also like the way Angel City has some of their individual pieces. Simone Charlie has been incredible for this team up top. I like the return of Jasmine Spencer for Angel City as well. I think she can cause, some real complications for some players out on that wing. So yeah, while I'm going back and forth in the draw, I think North Carolina has more in this one, and I'm going to go with the home side. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, though. I think it might be something like a 2-1 or a 1-0.
Okay, I like that. I like that you're putting numbers on it. Simone Charlie, you just mentioned her for Angel City. She's coming off a goal against Houston. I think that could spark something in her, right? I think she could get a little bit of mojo, a little bit of momentum coming from that. But when you look at these two sides and Angel City and North Carolina, it being at North Carolina, I think that gives them such a big advantage. Do you think we'll see a lot of players rested in this midweek action, considering Angel City has San Diego this weekend and North Carolina has OL Reign?
That's a really, really good question.
At home, but North Carolina's at home, so that's also helpful.
I think if there's a coaching staff that has the mentality of we should rest players for the game in front of us, is going to lose this game.
All right.
I think we'll learn right away. If Rhea Coombe or Sean Naha says, hey, I'm actually resting some of my players for the game in front of us, they're going to lose that game.
I agree, because you need wins, and that's not a knock on the players. I know what you're talking about. It's not a knock on the players. It's a knock on the mindset and the mentality, because both of these sides need to pick up points. We'll get into playoff implications and standings after we recap these games. I'll give you a little runaround about what's happening, but they need wins.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We'll see. I think we're both going courage in this one. Again, would love to be proven wrong. That's one of my favorite things when we come on the recap and we talk about how the other team came out and took it to the opposition. But let's take a look and make some picks at the next midweek match. It's going to be a central battle. Chicago Red Stars hosting Kansas City Currents in this one. Look, I love a good Midwest battle, and I love two teams who are sitting in the upper half of the table going against each other. We talked a lot about U.S. soccer and the games that they are, planning to close out their calendar year, and how I feel similarly in terms of watching NWSL and then watching global soccer. I think if you're looking at, top, 7 to 8 teams of the world versus like the top, 1 through 6 teams of NWSL, I think any of those teams can steal a win off any of the other teams. So that's why I'm loving these type of matchups, and I'm loving these types of matchups in the final month of the regular season, because they have these like layers of like playoff energy and urgency within them. But again, this is a midweek match, and I'm not too sure if we're going to get that same energy between these two teams in particular. It's something about those Challenge Cup Central Division teams when they go head to head. It's just like a weird energy. I don't know if it's the familiarity, and then you have the added layer of the quick turnaround. We saw Matt Potter bring off CC Kaiser, bring off Lola Bonta kind of in the hour mark, maybe having an eye on this match in particular moving forward, and then an even further eye, down the stretch. They have a quick turnaround to Sunday. After this midweek match, we'll see. Lisa, do you have a winner in this one?
So I'm not giving it away that easy. I got to talk first. I got to tell you what I want to see first. Yeah. So Kansas City, I mean, the fact that, as you just said, pulled off Kaiser, pulled off some of those big name players around the hour mark. I imagine that he was looking towards this midweek match against Chicago, because then this weekend they're home. Kansas City is at least home, right? They've gone from New Jersey to Chicago. Then they go home and they play Portland this weekend. So honestly, like it's tough. It's really tough on these two sides. Meanwhile, Chicago, they've got Kansas City, and then on Saturday, they're at home against Houston Dash. But Chicago's coming off that 2-2 draw against OL Reign. Kansas City, the late winner over Gotham, 1-0 in that game. Kansas City's on the streak, right? They're 13 games unbeaten. They're almost about to make an NWSL record, 16 games. So they're a couple away from that. But when you look at the history between these two sides, they were in the same group during the Challenge Cup. Kansas City beat Chicago in both of those Challenge Cup matches 2-1. Meanwhile, regular season, Chicago has never lost to Kansas City. So in league play, Kansas City cannot beat Chicago. 3 wins for Chicago, 1 draw. That one coming this year in June. It was a 2-2 draw. Chicago also defensively way better at home. They've allowed 6 goals in 8 matches when they play at SeatGeek Stadium. Chicago on the road, 18 goals in 10 matches. So defensively, Chicago does better at home.
Okay.
Kansas City on the road, though, they're not too bad. They've won their last 5 away games, and this
They're
is the
undefeated
longest
in 13.
Yes, but they've won on the road their
Okay.
last 5. They've won, meaning they've picked up 3 points. Do they extend that to 6 against Chicago? This would be the longest game-winning streak in single-season NWSL history if they get this win.
Nice.
This is very hard, though, because Chicago is a team that's getting players back. We saw the return of Morgan Gautral. Will she get more minutes in this match against Kansas City? I sure hope so, because I want to see her. If Chicago goes out full force against Kansas City, which frankly they need to do, they need points and they need to do that, they will get this win. Otherwise, Kansas City is going to pull it out. But I honestly think it's going to be a draw. 100% midweek action draw between these two sides.
Listen, you like it. I love it. I was curious what would I issue draws to both of these fixtures, right? Are both of these games going to sort of have that midweek draw energy for me? But look, it's the final month in the regular season. Every one of these teams has anywhere from like 4 to 3 games remaining. That includes Kansas City, that includes Chicago. And look, it's the final stretch here. I can't go against them. Okay. I'm going Chicago in this one. They're back at home. They're returning to SeatGeek after what feels like 84 years. It has been so long. I think the last time they had a home game was in July. Now they're back at home in SeatGeek, where they have a bit of a better record against opposition this year. So they're better at home than they are away. I think if you're the coaching staff and you're looking at the matches ahead of you, you have to take a real hard look at where you can pick up points and where you can afford to drop points. And those margins are incredibly, incredibly slim. If you're the Chicago Red Stars in 6th place on this table with only 1 point of cushion between some of the other teams trying to leapfrog you into the final stretch. So I'm looking for, Malpew to hopefully have a strong game in this one. Bianca St. George's as well. These are 2 players that the coaching staff opted to sort of rest in that first half against OL Reign and bring on in the second half and try to take the game to the Reign. And it almost worked out for him, but they fell just short, ending up with that 2-2 draw. So I'm hopeful that there's something like an extended minutes for a player like Pio, a player like St. George's, whether that's a full 90, whether that's something like a 75 or an 80, we will see. I'm also curious to see if we continue to see some different goal scorers for the Red Stars in this match. We didn't see Pio get one in the back of the net against the goal ring that came by way of Ella Stevens and Danny Colaprico converting the penalty kick. So I would like to see that as well. I'd love to see somebody like Vanessa DiBernardo get one in the back of the net for this team. And I am also curious to see if Morgan Gautral builds on her minutes. Is she somewhere to a full 15? And how do they utilize that, moving forward against a team like Kansas City? So we'll see. You got to draw. I got a winner. We'll see what happens in this one. I'm excited for it. Fingers crossed the weather cooperates and I get to make it out to this game and see it live.
I mean, Chicago's been on the road for, what'd you say, 85 years or something, but they come home and the weather just could be crap. So maybe they'll go back out on the road. Yeah, I mean, midweek actions, though, it's so important. So I'm going to talk some playoff implications here with this midweek action as we talk about.
What does it all mean, Lisa?
Only 3 weeks, 3 match days left in the NWSL. So if Chicago wins, they move up 1 spot into 5th place. Potentially they could get to 4th place, but that comes down to goal differential. So I'm not getting into the weeds there. Kansas City, if they win, they stay in 1st place. If North Carolina wins, they will stay in 8th place. If LA Angel City wins, they jump 2 spots into 5th place. However, if Kansas City also wins, they'll only go to 6th spot. Now, these teams that are playing, Chicago, Kansas City, North Carolina, and LA, they can eliminate Washington Spirit. If Chicago and Angel City win during the midweek, Washington Spirit is eliminated. Otherwise, that's it. No other teams can clinch and no other teams can be eliminated. So yeah, we're at the point in the season where things are happening.
Things are happening. Listen, folks, I got you covered on CBSSports.com. If you need playoff standings and predictions, we've got a post that we update week to week, and you could just try to keep an eye on all the teams involved and where their standings are heading into the following match week. So we'll see. We'll see what happens out of this midweek match, and we'll be back to go ahead and talk about the full slate of weekends later in the week.